Welcome in everyone to the Larsonland podcast. I'm your host, Sawyer Hill, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Dylan Bradshaw. We come in here every single Wednesday and talk about all things involving the 2021 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Young Money Kyle Larson. Dylan, definitely not a very good weekend for Kyle Larson and the five team. Not much dirt stuff to talk about this weekend. It was a week without any dirt track racing last week for Kyle Larson. Kind of strange, but I guess heading into the playoffs, kind of wants to focus on the NASCAR stuff. But lap 15 at Daytona. I guess the Daytona curse came and got Kyle again. We talked about it last weekend on the podcast. We thought he could maybe have a good finish at Daytona finally, but wasn't this weekend, and engine blew up on lap 15.
Yeah, super unfortunate. Probably gonna be our shortest podcast yet. Not much to talk about. Like you said, no dirt to cover, and not much to say when lap 15 he blows up. But yeah, it just sucks. What was that? His third engine blow this year. I think it was Phoenix, Darlington, and then Daytona. So definitely unfortunate. I think that was his sixth DNF this season. It was really unfortunate because he was fighting for that second spot in the playoffs, those extra points. So unfortunate there, but he still finished fourth. So going to the playoffs, he's in a decent spot, but definitely could have been better. But not much you can do. Daytona is not his best track, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely glad to move past Daytona and look ahead to the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. Like you said, Kyle Larson did not end up finishing second in the regular season points. I think he ended up finishing fourth, I want to say. But either way, that sets him up to be fourth in the playoff standings, kind of moving into Darlington next weekend. Not too bad. He does have a little bit of a cushion that he was able to build up with playoff points and stuff like that over the cut line right now. So um, Darlington's going to be an interesting race. I wanted to touch on about Daytona kind of before we move on to talk about Darlington. I've seen it all over like our social media and all over NASCAR social media. It's just we've seen a lot of conspiracy theories and people kind of saying that Hendrick gave Kyle a bad engine on purpose. Um, just wanted to, make it official, put it on the record. We're just simply not gonna condone or like play into any of those conspiracy theories. Obviously everybody's allowed to think what they want about the situation, but people can call Chase Elliott the golden boy all they want to, and that maybe that had something to do with the Kyle Larson thing this weekend. But I just don't think that a team's gonna intentionally sabotage a guy that won 10 Cup Series races for him last year and a championship. And I mean, Hendrick Motorsports is such a professional company. If you've ever had the chance to go and walk around the shop, I've been there one time, and everybody there just takes their job so seriously. I don't think that with the time and money that's invested into these teams that they would do anything to intentionally sabotage Kyle.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when he blew up, I jokingly said it out loud that he was sabotaged, but you know, I definitely don't think that's the case. The Hendrick, they're putting so much money into these cars. I mean, HendrickCars.com is even on the side of his car.
Right.
So Rick Hendrick isn't going to fund the car sponsorship, the entire car he's paying for. So he's not going to put a bad engine and get a bad finish when right before playoffs at that. All of his drivers are, heading into playoffs. So definitely don't really see people's, point of view with the whole sabotage thing. I think it's pretty crazy, but I guess it's a fun little conspiracy if you're joking about it. But yeah, I don't think that's the case. I don't think Hendrick's just gonna throw that money away just because of the little thing that happened last week at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, and I mean, it's obviously crazier stuff has happened in NASCAR. There's always those crazy stories that you hear, 10 years, 15 years down the road that oh this happened and nobody knew about it. Maybe this is one of those things, but I just highly doubt it. Kind of looking at the situation from a realistic point of view though, we did have somebody, I don't remember who exactly it was. I think it was on Instagram that somebody commented something about like maybe Hendrick using this engine because they had to get their second use out of this engine before going to Talladega in the playoffs. So kind of wanting to use one of their super speedway engines for the second time before they go to Talladega to have a fresh motor for Talladega. I think that could be possible. the Cup Series teams do have to actually use at least 13 of their engines. They have to use them twice. So that means that throughout the season there can be a maximum of 23 fresh engines that go into the cars. So it could have been one that they might have had to use it a second time. Now I doubt that they would. I think they would be able to tell. Okay, there's gonna like whether there's gonna be a failure or something beforehand. They would obviously, I think, change the engine, Dylan.
Yeah, and I mean, I would imagine it's maintenance. I don't think they're just like, running an entire super speedway race and just plopping it right in another car and just send it out there. I would say it's maintenance. If that is the case, it's pretty smart. I mean, saving a fresh engine for the playoffs in Talladega, I mean, pretty smart. Kyle ran there good in the first Talladega race, so hopefully he does well again there. Super speedways have not been kind to us, but yeah, just super unfortunate. We saw crazy finishes at Daytona we don't usually see. Dylan squeaked by with that win. Thought they were gonna call it. We saw a lot of guys that are usually, finishing in the 30s that, aren't even in contention for playoffs whatsoever, finish top 10. Saw a few crazy bets that people placed. I saw one guy, $13. The guy won 1,000,000 for it was Cody Ware top 10, BJ McLeod top 10, Landon Castle top 10, and I think it was David Reagan top 10 finish. So it was just insane to see. It was what four playoff guys just on the lead lap. I
Right.
mean, that's just insane to me. But yeah, not a bad bet. I mean, all it takes is one big wreck and all the top guys are out, so there's people in the back of the pack to squeeze through and get a good finish.
Yeah, it was definitely a crazy wreck. Let's to talk about the wreck for a little bit. I mean, I don't know how Austin Dillon got through that thing. I mean, it seemed like almost every single car was involved in that wreck. A good friend of the podcast, his brother actually is the car chief on the number three car, and I called him up right when, or not the car chief, but his brother. I called him up right when the wreck happened. I was just amazed, like how did Austin get through that thing? And it ended up working out fine for him. We thought the race was going to get canceled there. Rain started coming down, but NASCAR waited it out, over 3 hour rain delay, and I was definitely happy to see Austin pick up that win and lock himself into the playoffs there. I know the move with Austin Cindric is kind of shaky. Some people like it, some people don't, but hey, it's all or nothing there for Austin Dillon.
Yeah, definitely, and, I would say you made it through because, number 3 car at Daytona,
Yeah.
Dale's watching over, that's the only reason he squeaked through. No, but I thought Harvick was gonna squeak through, I was surprised he, tried to hit that gap in the middle of the racetrack, tried to get through. There's a little bit of controversy there, whether or not Harvick was the leader at the rain break, so, NASCAR determined that you do have to, maintain speed as the leader, maintain the pace, so that's why they called, Dillon the leader there, but yeah, it was just pretty crazy, I was hoping, Austin Dillon would I was honestly hoping NASCAR would call it because I threw a couple bucks on Dillon to win, and I just wanted a Dillon win there. I was kinda surprised, he capped it off and got it under green, so good for him, locked in the playoffs, and, yeah, we'll see moving forward if he does anything.
Yeah, it was interesting to see that like little bit of like a difference in the style of racing there at the end when there was like 10 cars left. It kind of reminded me of old school like tandem drafting in a way. Like there's these little two or three groups like two or three car groups that are just coming up and trying to make big runs cuz I mean, I was surprised like the top 3 or 4 broke away pretty good and then there was like another 3 or 4 car group that kind of locked up behind them and they were able to close the gap super quick and made it closer at the end. I think if it went a lap or two more, we might have saw a different outcome there.
Yeah, definitely, and, branching off, tough break for, Martin Truex. I
Yeah.
definitely thought he was gonna be the one to, get it. Blaney's car, he got pretty destroyed early on. His car was on its last leg, missing fenders, just completely taped up with bare bond. Truex's car had some damage too there at the end, so he was kinda falling back, he was struggling to keep up, but, man, I thought for sure that he was gonna get it, but, with all those cars going out and Blaney was still in the race, even though he was, what, 5, 6 laps down, he still got those position points, and it just shot him up
Yeah.
when the green flag waved at the end of the rain break, but, yeah, tough break for Truex. I mean, it's tough to see a guy, what was he, 5th, 6th in points regular season? So it's tough to see a guy, been consistent, hasn't been necessarily dominant, but been consistent and missing the playoffs. It's tough to see.
Yeah, and like that whole Ryan Blaney thing, I kind of just thinking about it, like it really is reminiscent of Kyle Larson, like back when he was in the 42 car at the Charlotte Roval when his car was completely destroyed that one race, and he's basically just limping it back to the finish line. I think it was either a tie or he got in by one position point on that last pass that he made, and the car is just completely destroyed. So, um, huge tip of the hat to Brian Blaney and that 12 team. I know how difficult it is to just stick with it when the car is that badly damaged, but it just shows that, any chance you can get to stay out there and make laps, it's definitely worth it. And this format where, if you don't win, you've got to point yourself in, and they absolutely did it there over Martin Truex Jr. Definitely feel bad for the 19 team and Truex, but just the way it is this year and the way it's been, the past couple of years with this playoff format. It's not the most fair thing, I would say, but it is what it is. It's the same system for everybody. You got to go out there and win a race.
Yeah, definitely. And looking ahead, kind of going forward to the next Darlington race. I actually got news today. He was originally going to run the number 88 in the Xfinity race at Darlington, but they actually changed it to the 17. So pretty interesting. Don't really know why they did that. I guess another chance to win it for Ricky, but yeah, not sure why they did that, but some interesting news. And yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to see maybe another driver in the 88 because obviously the 88 car is under the Junior Motorsports stable, whereas the 17 car comes through Hendrick, obviously in partnership with Junior Motorsports. But I don't know if I really don't know if the 17 car was even scheduled to run this race at all. I don't know if Chase or William or Alex Bowman was supposed to be in that car, but I don't know if maybe they were. Maybe they're going to be in the 88 car. I assume the 88's probably going to be with one of those guys. I don't know, Dylan.
yeah, it might be Chase Elliott. I think he wanted to run it last year. I could be wrong. I think he got rained out or something. Something happened where he couldn't run it.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't really remember, but yeah, I think it could be Chase Elliott running the 88. So you have the two loving teammates that love each other so much running in Xfinity and Cup of Darlington.
Oh man. So looking at last year's race from Darlington, Kyle obviously the fall race, the playoff race from Darlington last year. Obviously, can't relate it too much with the next gen car, but that was definitely one to remember with Denny Hamlin winning and Kyle Larson giving it all he had on the last lap. The video game move race. Hopefully Kyle will be on the other end of that deal this year. Maybe he'll be the guy leading the race, and maybe it'll be Hamlin or somebody else. Maybe it'll be Chase Elliott that's throwing it in there, trying to trying to give it all he's got.
Yeah, he's definitely strong at Darlington. Just looking at his past races, going back to even Ganassi days, since 2018, he's finished top three. What was it? Four out of the five races, and we obviously the Darlington race this year he had engine trouble, but I would say he was probably a top two, if not a winning car.
Oh
Then
yeah,
he was super fast at Darlington, so very strong at Darlington. It's definitely a good track for him. So barring that engine issue, this year, I think he would have finished top three the last five races at Darlington. So, looking strong going into it. Hopefully, picks up that win, gets the points cushion, so he can kind of be ready for when Talladega comes up because anything can happen there.
absolutely. We don't want to see a bad race at Talladega like last year and have to basically win at the Roval to make it into the round of 8 that'll be. So, right now every win he can get kind of is going to give him points towards the next round. So, if you can win a race in this round, that's going to be 5 bonus points going into next round of the playoffs, and every stage will be 1 extra point going in. So it all matters, even though it's reset after the round of 16 when it goes to 12. Those bonus points still carry over, and they are oh so important moving forward. So, like we said, double duty for Kyle at Darlington. Xfinity car going to be in the 17 now. Cup car on Sunday with Hendrick Motorsports. Obviously, not really any dirt stuff really been announced or even rumored, Dylan. So this is pretty much all it is for this weekend. Big race on tap for the first week of the playoffs. The week after, there has been confirmed Kyle Larson's going to be at the Silver Dollar Speedway. We talked about that last week, 2 nights there, but I think it's time to lock in and get in playoff mode for this number 5 team.
Yeah, definitely. We talked about that last week. We just think he's kind of easing up on dirt, just locking in and focusing on NASCAR. And at the end of the day, we like to see him in those dirt races, but NASCAR pays the bills. NASCAR is the primary outlet for racing, so it's definitely smart for him to lock in here at playoffs. Anyone's game. I mean, it's such a different season with these next gen cars. So many different winners. It's just every week going into it, it's like throwing a dart at a dartboard on who can win. All these cars are pretty even. So yeah, good schedule coming up. Like we said, we talked about Darlington. Then for the round of 16, we have Darlington, Kansas, and then Bristol. So some strong tracks for Kyle. Almost won Kansas earlier in the year. Obviously won Kansas last year, won Bristol last year. Bristol's going to be tough going into it. Chase Elliott actually raced Bristol yesterday by himself, so he's got some practice there at Bristol. But yeah, we got some strong tracks coming up for Kyle, and it should be pretty good.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the rest of the playoffs and most importantly Darlington coming up this weekend. So it's been nice chatting, Dylan. I think this is pretty much all we have for today. Unfortunately, not much news with no dirt stuff and the disappointing race at Daytona, but we always thank everybody for tuning in and listening to the show. We really do appreciate all the support, and we'll be back again next week to recap the race from Darlington, and maybe if Kyle does any dirt racing. Don't think he is, but it's always possible. If you're watching this on YouTube, please don't forget to like this video and subscribe. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please follow our podcast so you don't miss a thing. Have a great rest of the weekend, everyone, and enjoy the on track action over the next week. We will see you in the next video.